everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I know it's been a little bit. I took a little bit of break after Christmas, and I really haven't been doing a whole lot of crafting um, up until after Christmas, so I only have, to show what I've been working on since then. It is going to be a little bit of a long one. I have knit crates, both December's and January's. I know I'm behind on that. I also have what I got for Christmas to share with you guys. I have, I'm going to talk a little bit about last year's craft goals and my goals for this coming year. I do have a few finished projects. And then I have one whip that I've been working on. So it's kind of going to be a combination of everything that I've needed to talk about recently. So I also have a little clip that I'm going to be adding of my brand new sewing machine. So you'll be able to see that. It's really nice. So I'm just going to jump right in. I think what I will start with is I'm going to start with the goals. So last year my goals, I did set several goals, and I only met one of them. So, and that was to have 2 handmade sweaters by the end of the year, and one of those sweaters was one that I was already working on, and then I was supposed to complete another one, which I have. I've completed both of those sweaters, so I was really proud of myself about that, but I did kind of set my goals pretty high. I think I was wanting to have 2 crochet dresses and 2 crochet skirts, along with the two sweaters, and then some other things. So, and I didn't make any of those other goals. I did start on the skirt, which I really need to get working on that again. But I had to design the skirt that I was wanting, and then work out the pattern and all of that, and then start crocheting on it. So I got a good portion done on it, but then I kind of put it away and I haven't picked it up since, so I really need to do that. So for this year's goals, I want to keep them a little bit more simpler. I do have a few crafting goals, but most of my goals are revolving around not necessarily the craft itself, but things to do with that craft. So my first goal for this new year is to keep my craft room clean. It tends to get where I have a lot of things going on, and then we use different things for different projects, and then they just kind of get stuffed in my room and don't get put away. So I'm trying to not only keep myself, but everybody else that takes stuff out of the craft room, to be putting it back where it belongs, so I can keep the craft room nice and clean, and I don't have to sit there and deal with the clutter all the time. So that is one of my major goals for this next year, is to try and keep the craft room clean, keep everything put away, not have so many projects out. If I haven't touched it in 6 months, it probably needs to be frogged and the yarn put away. But I have been working through some of those things that I was working on. I did finish everything that I had started prior to Christmas. Not the Christmas projects, because I didn't finish that last Christmas pudding. I didn't finish that, so I just ripped it out. And then, maybe I'll make another one next year. If not, then no big deal. But I need to go through that box of long time whips that have been sitting there. Most of them are baby blankets that I was trying to design patterns for, and if you guys have been watching me for a while, you know that I'm not a real big blanket person. I don't like really spending that much time on a project. I like the the quick and you know, that instant gratification of finishing something in a, you know, a timely manner. So keep the craft room clean and tidy. My second goal is to have another 2 sweaters done. I already have the yarn purchased for that from my last Mary Maxim haul. So the yarn's out there, I just need to start them. I think I probably will use the same pattern for one of them. So I think I will use the same pattern for at least one of those sweaters, which is a raglan style sweater that you work, you know, from the top down, which is what my purple sweater was, my second sweater for this last year. I think I'll use the same pattern for that, but I will remember to use the right size this time, so I don't have to sit there and fiddle with it so much, because I kind of screwed that one up. So that's another one of my goals, is just to have the 2 sweaters done, and that's the only actual craft goal that I have, is just the 2 sweaters. I don't want to go overboard on setting so many rules for myself, because then, you know, I feel bad when I don't follow through on them. And right now I'm more into amigurumi than I am big projects, so I don't think it's a really wise idea to be setting a bunch of whole, you know, specific craft projects, because I'm really one of those crafters that I just choose something that I want to do at the time. I don't really, you know, follow trends or anything like that. It's things that I'm interested in at that moment that I choose to do. So just the 2 sweaters, because those are a necessity. I really need them. So that's why I have set those goals, and that is an achievable goal. My purple and pink sweater that I made, I want to say that I made that in like less than 2 weeks. So if I just put my mind to it and set that as what I am working on right now, then, you know, I can, you know, whip those sweaters out pretty fast. Probably for the second sweater, I will probably choose a different pattern. I do have that sweater book that my husband bought me, so I might choose something out of there. I don't know about that. So, but yeah. So the next thing is to keep track of all of my finished objects in a book, and I've already started doing that. So I have this little composition book that I've been keeping track of the finished objects that I've started since the new year. So what I'm hoping to do is to keep track of what the project is, when I finished it, what I used for that, the hook size, if there was a pattern that I used for it, and then, you know, that way I can just look back at this, you know, throughout the year and say, okay, I want to make another dog sweater. I know what I used for that specific dog sweater, and the materials I used, the hook size I used, and all of that. So one of my major goals is to try and keep track of all that stuff. That way I kind of have one place where I can look back and see what I finished for the year, and also, you know, kind of, you know, what I'm using. I'm not going to go into the specifics of how much yardage and all of that, because I am not a math-brained person. That's just not my thing. But I want to kind of keep track of what types of yarns I'm using, what hook sizes I use the most, which I already know those things, but it would be nice to know if there's a specific yarn that I like more than others. Or if I'm just gearing towards the cheapest yarns that I can get, what I find on sale, what has color, you know, things like that. It just will be nice to know at the end of the year. I can look back and kind of decipher, you know, where my tastes are going, yarn-wise at least. So I have already started that. So that's a good thing. The next thing is to take pictures of all of my finished projects. This is something I have never done up until this last year. I never took pictures of my finished projects, unless it was a gift, like from one of my kids, and I happened to take a picture when I gave it to them, or it was something that I had up for sale in the old shop that I had. But other than that, I really never took pictures of my finished projects. And now that I think back about it, I really wish I had, because I have all of these different projects that I've done in the past that I wish that I could redo, but I don't really, all I have is the memory of them. So between the combination of those two things, I should be able to have a record of what I have, been spending my time on. I'm not quite sure whether I'm going to add like other crafts into this. I'm thinking I probably should, but I don't know whether this is just going to be crochet or yarn related crafts, or if I should add like my sewing, because like I said, I got a brand new sewing machine. It would be, a good thing to try and keep track of my sewing as well. So I think I might work on doing that too, because I've done a lot of sewing since I got the new sewing machine, and it would be nice to be able to keep track of those things too, because those are, I go through periods of time where all I do is sew. I don't pick up any yarn, so I wouldn't have anything to add to my book. So it would be a good idea to add, all the crafts that I do into this one book for the year. So pictures of all of my projects. I have been doing much better about that, because when I finish something, I automatically take a picture of it, and then I add it to the Facebook group. So that's kind of got me in that habit of keeping track of what I finished and taking pictures of those things, and making sure I have a catalog of, what I'm doing with my time. So the next thing is, like I said, the only other craft thing that I am setting a goal for is to finish that loom knit blanket that I have already started, which is no problem. I should be able to finish that well before the end of the year, depending on, whether I get burnout doing it or not. But I'm really liking doing it right now, and I am mixing it in with other things. That way I'm not, feeling that that burnout feeling of, okay, this is kind of tedious, I'm doing the same stitch over and over again, and I'm, everybody goes through that. So the loom knit blanket I want to have finished, and I don't think that'll be a problem. I have got a really good start on that already. I am almost done with the last panel for the second row. And it makes me feel good, because I'm using all of those scrap fabric, or those scrap yarns, and yarns that I've pulled out of other projects, and all of that stuff that has just been sitting in my room and not being of any use. So it makes me feel good that I'm putting it to use. It's going to be a useful item for my family and all of that. So that will be really nice to have for this next winter. So another thing is, I really want to be using the craft books that I've been buying. My husband has bought me a lot of new craft books in this past year. And you'll see when I get to my Christmas gifts, I got a couple more, and I really want to be using those books along with, searching for patterns online. But I want to go to those books first. Because I've had several crochet books out there that I've never really done anything with, because I just don't think about it, and I'll automatically just go find a pattern online for whatever it is I'm looking for. So I want to be using those books, because they do cost money, and I am a very big book person. I like, I like having paper and, books in hand, rather than having them just, on the computer screen or my phone or whatever. So I want to be using the craft books that I have accumulated for the projects that I'm, going to be doing. And if I can't find, if none of the books that I have have the specific project then that I'm looking for, then I can go online and find the pattern then. And then the last thing is, I want to do a lot more sewing this year. This last year my sewing well, the last few years, I should say, my sewing has completely just tapered off to almost nothing. I used to sew just as much as I crocheted, and over the last few years, I just stopped. Um, that's partially due to the fact that the price of fabric has gone up tremendously in the last few years. So I have to be able to um, rationalize the cost versus buying something already pre-made. I'm constantly doing that all the time with my crafting. Whether it's just if the cost of making it myself is more than what it would cost just for me to go to the store and buy it already pre-made, then that kind of um, I can't justify spending the money on it that way. So what I've done is I am trying to find different ways to find the things that I need for the projects I'm working on. So fabric-wise, I'm doing smaller projects, things that I can use fat quarters for. I also have a huge stash of fabric that I haven't touched in, like I said, a long time. So I really need to be using what I have on hand. I also am going to be keeping my eye out this summer for like big pieces of fabric, whether that's sheets or, you know, pre-cut fabrics. But, you know, even those are getting really hard to find at yard sales and thrift stores and stuff because not very many people are doing those things anymore. So I'm trying to find different ways to do it. Grandma always taught me that just because something is made for a specific reason doesn't mean you can't use that for something else. So she did quilting all the time. So instead of buying yardage and yardage and yardage of fabric for the backs of her quilts, she would use sheets. And I have done that numerous times in the past for making skirts and all that other stuff. So I need to get back into doing that and trying to find good deals on those, because you can get a really good quality fabric with a good amount of yardage for not too bad a price. So I really need to be keeping my eye out for that when I have projects in mind, thinking out of the box. I do have fabric set out for 3 skirts out in my craft room whenever I get around to that. It's been sitting there probably since spring because I've been having problems with my other sewing machines. My white sewing machine, white as in the brand white, I have had nothing but trouble with it since it came out of the box. We really should have taken it back to the store. It has had tension problems since the second I got it. So I've constantly always struggled with that. And then my husband bought me I had my brother's sewing machine first. It was the first sewing machine I've ever had, and it had to start having problems. And then my husband bought me the white, and then I was tinkering with the brother, and I did something and it just started working. I haven't had any problems with it since, until about the 1st of December, or no, maybe I guess it was probably back in October, when I was making my husband's pieces for his Halloween costume. I had to sew some really heavy leather, and it just messed it all up, and the tension's all messed up, and I cannot get it worked out. So my husband bought me a brand new sewing machine. It has all kinds of decorative stitches. It does letters and numbers. It embroiders. It does all these things that I've never even remotely even thought of doing. So, but we got a really good deal on it, and I was in the middle of a project, sewing a project for my husband, and I couldn't finish it because my sewing machine just basically is kind of locked up. And no matter how long I sit there and tinker with it, it's still not getting any better. So he just decided to buy me a new sewing machine, and it is a significant upgrade. So it's kind of computerized, and it has all of these different feet and functions and stitches, and like I said, it does letters and numbers, and you can do freeform embroidery, and it's like automatic. So if you if you don't plug in the foot pedal, it'll sew by itself. So you know, it's a lot to have been learning, and that's kind of where I've been spending my time, is trying to figure out the sewing machine. And I think I'm doing really well. I've been sewing several things with it, which you'll see when I get to the finished projects section. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of sewing, and I really enjoy sewing. And this has so many decorative stitches on it. I can't even remember it, but I just kind of been, I got a scrap of fabric and was just testing out all different ones, and they're really beautiful. I will try to remember to insert a picture of one of the decorative stitches once I get to the sewing machine, when I share the sewing machine with you. I did the project for my husband. I did a decorative I did a decorative stitch on the trim of everything for his the project I made for him, and it turned out beautiful. I used gold thread, and it was just really nice. So sewing more is one of my, or is my last goal. So it's kind of loosey-goosey for this year. I normally don't even set goals, but I've been trying to do that starting this last year, and I kind of went way overboard. So yeah, so those are my goals. And like I said, I'm not gonna be real rigid about it, because then it makes me not want to do it at all. So yeah, so I think I'm gonna move on to the knit crates. So I have December's and January's here. I got December's right before Christmas, and it was like a couple days after I filmed last, and I just haven't had time to do it since now. So I'm going to go ahead and share both of them at the same time. As always, you can find all of my Knit Crate stuff in the Facebook group. I'll try and leave it in the the description of the video here. So December, this is what the yarns were for December. And oh, that's nice. So they started adding a page with a picture of all of the patterns for the book, so that's nice. I don't have to sit there and sift through them. So those are the patterns for December's Knit Crate. I love that they're still doing these books. I was wondering whether they were going to continue to do it through the next year. So I'm really glad that they are, because the patterns are in the books, so you don't have to go and print them off and all of that, which is really annoying. So the little freebie is a logo pin, and it looks like that. So their logo is a ball of yarn with 2 knitting needles sticking out, and I add these to my my project bags. I have another one that they sent me, so that's nice. That's a little bit different. I think the last one they sent me was just silver. So this is what the yarn looks like, and it's very soft. It's Vindalana again, and it's Vindalana Lofty DK, and the colorway is Firewood. It's 48% merino wool, 20% baby alpaca, and 32% organic cotton. It's a DK weight, 274 yards, 100 grams. So it is one of those yarns that are like, I don't want to say crocheted, it's more like cabled in some sort of way, but it kind of reminds me like a little I-cord. But it's very soft, so It is kind of thin, but it's very soft. I don't actually mind this one too bad. I get a little bored because they send me a lot of the same colors, which is normally browns and blues. Occasionally I'll get a green, but I never get any bright colors. And that would be the only complaint that I have about Knit Crate. And I don't think it's just me that thinks that. They have a selection of bright colors, but it doesn't seem like if you kind of get the same tones that you get, you know, throughout your time of having it. So I wish they would mix it up. So if they sent you a, you know, darker color, the previous month they send you a bright one, because they do, you know, they do have other colors. I would have loved to have this pink or even the green, but I've never gotten any of those colors. So, and they always have a lighter color, but it kind of seems like the same people get the same tones. I hope that makes sense. But I do like getting the Knit Crates. Of course, I am an affiliate with Knit Crates, so I get I get a percentage if you use my coupon code and my link that's in the description. But for the most part, their yarns are really worth it. They're very soft and pretty, and of course you get 2 skeins, so that's enough to do, you know, decent sized project. And you know, I really like that they add the crochet into the booklet too. That way you at least have, you know, one project that you could make with the amount of yarn that they're giving you. And it's a scarf this year, so it's the the wild berry scarf, and then you have the Keep Me Cozy leg warmers for the knitting pattern, and then of course the sock patterns. But so that's December's Knit Crate. Super soft. You can definitely feel that merino in it. And then for January, I'm actually very pleased with this one. Because it's a color other than brown, or it's still blue, but okay, so these are the colors that you could have gotten. I would have really loved to have, you know, this orange or the tan with the orange, but I got the blues. And these are the patterns for this month. So you have, looks like 2 cowls. You have a knit cowl and a crochet cowl, and then you have the sock patterns. So, and the little, like, extra is this little, like, it's a little stocking cap. It's really cute. I'm gonna turn this into a Christmas ornament. I just haven't got around to it yet, but it's really cute. It's knit, it kind of looks like it's almost been knit on a knitting machine because it's double thickness, but it's really cute. So this would probably make a really cute stitch marker too. So I'll probably do one of those things. But what's different about these, or this month's, is the skeins aren't the same. They're different color, or they're like the same tones, but they're not the same. So you have like a darker variegated type of color, and then you have a lighter one, and this one actually has like touches of almost a periwinkle purpley blue. So I think that was kind of like the theme for this month. I read it somewhere. So they're calling it a semi-solid and a variegated. So the semi-solid and then a variegated. So it's to form a color coordinated pair of semi-solids and variegateds. So it's different, I'll give you that, but you know, they might be really nice for you know, like a gradient or maybe a stripe or something similar to that. But so this is Brooklyn Boys Knits, which I have never seen that specific type of brand from this. It's a knitology, but I don't know whether that's just like a line of yarn or what, but it's Knitology's worsted, and this one is Empire, and this one is Royal Court. So they are 100% superwash merino, worsted weight, 225 yards and 100 grams a piece. So it's nice that they're actually worsted because that's what I use most of the time. So I don't know, I'll have to see what I can come up with this. And that's the one thing about Knit Crate is a majority of their yarns are thinner weight yarns, and I mostly work with worsted weight, so I'm not as prone to wanting to use them as much as other yarns. So but their yarns, like I said, are very beautiful, and they're very good quality. But it is a subscription box, so you don't really get to choose what you get. And like I was saying with the last box, I kind of feel like I am in this category that only gets these specific colors. Blues, browns, occasionally a green. I've gotten a few boxes that have had something with color in it, but they're normally something that is based in one of those three colors. So that would be the only drawback to a Knit Crate for me, is I like working with bright colors, and I don't ever get bright colors with Knit Crate. But like I said, it is a subscription box. You're paying for the box itself, not for choosing the yarn. But the yarns themselves are very nice. They're very high quality. You know, I like them. I do wish that they, you know, had brighter colors, but that's just my preference. I like working with bright colors. So check the description box, and they'll have all my links, or I'll put all my links for Knit Crate in there, along with the coupon code if you've never bought Knit Crate before and want to try it. You can definitely use my coupon code and get 20% off your first purchase. So I'm going to move on to what I got for Christmas. So I got two crochet books for Christmas. I got other stuff too, but crafting related is what I got. Two craft books that I wanted to share with you. And the first one is Edward's Crochet Imaginarium. So it looks like this. I've been wanting this book forever. I think it was Random Randy that I seen it on her podcast probably over a year ago. But what it is, it's kind of a mix and match type of book. So you have a basic, it's a amigurumi book, but you have a basic body, and then you can choose all of these different heads, arms, and feet to make, you know, a ton of different style of animals, toys, monsters, whatever you're going for. So just trying to find the basic body. And it'll give you different sizes depending on your yarn size. And so you have this basic body that you do, and then you add, you know, the different, like if it has ears or horns or you know, different alien antennas or things like that. And then you can choose different hands and feet. And then you can also choose like to put tails on it, or different body structures. So like this page has different tails you could use. And there's a whole bunch of different ways that you could put together these amigurumis. So it even shows you different ways of striping and speckling and polka dotting, and there's some that are like furry and have like little warts on them. So like I said, I've been wanting this for a really long time, and I was finally able to get it. So I've already started on an animal in here, and it's going to actually look just like this one, except it's going to be different colors. But this is just like the little gallery. There's a ton of different animals that you could come up with out of using the different pieces. It says over 1 million easy to make monsters. One standard form, 23 heads, 23 arms, 23 feet, 6 tails, 4 sizes, 6 stitch patterns, 17 colors, hundreds of modifications, and over 1 million monsters to make. So I've already started on it, which you'll see when I get to the whip section, but I'm very pleased with it so far. It's really straightforward. The only thing you do need to remember is that it is written in UK terms. It does not say that anywhere, but it's talking about double crochet when you can clearly see it's single crochet. So definitely if you grab it, I kind of made a little mark in the book saying single crochet, you know, just to remind myself if I put it away and then come back to it later. But really like it. Have already started using it. And this one is the Big Book of Little Amigurumi. And I actually checked this out from the library, so I knew what was in it when I got it for Christmas. And it has tons of different little animals and stuff in it, and all kinds of stuff. The patterns are really easy, and I want to make this little alien. They're so cute. But I don't remember how many. There's 72 projects, so it's a pretty big project book. It has a lot of different variety in it. So I thought it was a good, you know, buy for what you're getting. 72 projects. And this one, you know, you get numerous amounts. You can make a ton of different animals and probably never repeat them once. So that is what I got for Christmas. I also got a sewing machine. I technically didn't get it for Christmas, but it was at Christmas time. So I'm going to go ahead and pop in the clip of my sewing machine here. Just, you know, I'm not going to really go into it too much detail, but I just wanted to show it to you and kind of, you know, share what I'm going to be working on. So here's my sewing machine. It's a Brother SQ9185. So it has all of these decorative stitches. It has all of these up here. These are the reverse stitches, so it'll look the same on both sides. It also has letters and numbers. Like I said, it's if you don't plug in the foot pedal, it will automatically sew on its own just by pushing the start and stop button here. Of course, you know that you do have to be careful how you're feeding the fabric and everything, but it does buttonholes. It sews buttons on. Oops. And it does all of these beautiful decorative stitches. You can do free free motion embroidery on it, which I couldn't do with my other machine. It comes with a whole thing full of different sewing foots and needles and you know, all of that good stuff. You can use different types of thread. Like I said, I did actually number 60 right here with gold thread on my husband's, the project I was making for my husband, and it turned out beautifully. So you can also change the, you know, the speed here. I was using the foot, so I didn't really have to use that last time, but you know, there's a million different combinations you could use. So I just wanted to go ahead and share it with you. I highly recommend it if you're in the market for a sewing machine. Definitely recommend this one. Once again, it's a Brother SQ9185. I did see this at Walmart. We didn't buy it at Walmart, but Walmart wanted more for it than what we got on Amazon. So it's a great machine. I've been using it kind of non-stop since I bought it. It feeds really well. You know, you can change the tension and stuff up here, but I find that it's perfect where it was set at coming out of the box, which is around a 2. It is a bottom feed bobbin, which I've never had before, and I'm really liking. The bobbin winder up here is really nice too. So I just wanted to go ahead and share it with you, because you'll be seeing lots of projects coming, you know, from this sewing machine in the future. Okay, I'll get back to the video. So I'm going to move into finished projects. I do have a few, and then I have only the one whip that I've been working on. So should wrap this up pretty quickly, I think. I finished my daughter's lion. It turned out okay. I'm not extremely happy with it, but she likes it. I am very pleased with the face. The face has turned out really cute. The hair, on the other hand, not so great, and the body is a little wonky, but she loves it. She's been sleeping with it. I actually took it out of her bed to be able to share it today. So I did finish that. I finished my dog's dog sweater, and I also started and finished a like Valentine's Advent. I'm going to go ahead and pop in some pictures of those because my dog's wearing his sweater, and the Advent I've already hung up, so I'm going to just go ahead and put those pictures in here. And then the next couple things are all sewing. So the first thing I did when I got my new sewing machine was I made my husband it's a tarot bag, because I bought him a like mermaid tarot deck for Christmas, and I wanted to add a bag to it before Christmas. So he's already, you know, this has already been under the tree, and he opened it and everything, but I haven't filmed since then, so I wanted to go ahead and share it. It's just I chose the Anchor fabric, and this was the only ribbon I could find that was blue, and it doesn't really match, but you know, he liked it. And like I said, the tarot deck is a mermaid tarot deck, and he's also going to put it on our boat, so that's why I chose the Anchor fabric. So I did want to go ahead and share that. And then the next one is also a tarot bag. I finished because I've gotten a couple new decks recently, and I needed bags for them. So I made this one, which is a houndstooth pattern, and then I added the black drawstring casings, and then I just went and got some black ribbon. And these bags could be used for anything. It's just, you know, I have a lot of tarot decks, and I like to make bags for them. Also, I have, you know, I'm in the process of opening a new store that's a metaphysical store, so I'll be making some more bags for that. But this is kind of what the design for those are going to be. You could probably use these bags for anything. They would be great for notions, pouches, and all of that. They are not lined because tarot bags normally aren't lined. But so there's that. I was very pleased with how this one turned out. It turned out perfect. So the next thing is we have a German Shepherd, and he sheds like crazy, and I wanted to protect my sewing machine, so I made a sewing machine cover. And I learned some new skills with this. I learned a new binding with way of binding. So I had this cupcake print that I found at Dollar Tree sometime before Christmas, and then I went and got a just a pink fat quarter to go with it, and then I also had this pink like flower fabric in my stash, and it's it's kind of mixy-mashy, but I like it. It's cute. It turned out really well. It is quilted. I had some leftover quilt batting from a project that I was doing for my husband, so I went ahead and quilted it, so it should be able to protect my new machine without no problems. And then I just went and got ribbon from Walmart and sewed it across the top, so it'll sit over the sewing machine like this, and then tie on the edges. So that took me a little while, but it turned out pretty well. I don't do mitered corners very well, if you could even call that a mitered corner, but I'm learning. I have never really been a quilter. My sewing experience mainly is sewing clothing, so you know, the whole mitered corners and getting everything, you know, pristine perfect is not really up my alley. And then the last thing that I have to share is just some stitch markers I made. I've had these beads for a while now, and I just haven't had the class to be doing anything with it. So here's the first one, which is just blue. It's almost like a cracked marble effect. And they just have the little tiny lobster claw clasp. And then the pink and yellow one. Here's a different style. And then these, the last two are the same beads, but I have them in a different setting. So and these are like almost like are marbleized, kind of pink and purple together. But I thought I would just share them with you because I did work on those before Christmas. And I finally put clasp on all the clay ones that I had made last year. I finally put clasp on those. So I can actually use them now, which will be nice. So that is all of my finished projects. Like I said, I do have one whip. Oh, well, I have I have the current square that I'm working on, but I'm not going to show those until I finish an entire row, and then I'll show it when it's attached to the blanket. I think that would be better than showing you each individual square. So I'm not very far on this, but I have started it. So this is going to be out of my Edward's Imaginarium. So for my head, this is what my monster or amigurumi is going to look like. So this is really kind of cool because it actually kind of shows you what each body part looks like on the body. It's going to be really cute. So I am using the Crafter's Secret in Hot Rose. And then I'm using this Yarn Bees Glowing Multi-Pink. And it looks like that. And I've had this in my stash for a while now. My husband got it from Hobby Lobby for me. But it's different variegations of pink, and it's got some teals and purples in it. So I thought it would be really cute to make this amigurumi with. And I didn't quite have enough just to make it out of the glowing. So I just decided to go ahead and stripe it, and that's about as far as I've got. I haven't been able to pick it up in several days now, but I think it's going to be really cute. Once we get into the darker pinks, it's really going to, you know, make this pink kind of blend in a little bit more. But I'm doing every 3 rows, and I've started on the head. So hopefully I'll have some progress on that by the time I podcast next. And so yeah, that is all that I have this time, and that was a lot. So hopefully everything will be back on track, you know, scheduling wise. I know I've been gone a little bit, but you know how the holidays get, and then everything's so hectic afterwards. I just haven't been able to get back on. So I hope everybody had a great holiday and has their new year off to a good start, and I will see you next time. Bye!